The Sugar Rush Speedway presents itself as a paradise of high-speed racing, with tracks constructed from frosting, hard candy, and neon-bright confectionery. The racers are designed to fit this theme perfectly. Take Taffeta Mutton Fudge. She wears strawberry-themed gear and carries an expression of sugary innocence. But that outward sweetness used to hide a fiercely competitive culture, defined by aggressive cliques and systemic exclusion. Look at Swizzle Norky. This confrontational posturing was common, as mean-spirited rivalries threatened to make the game miserable for anyone outside the dominant group. The game's vibrant aesthetic was essentially a mask for a community that had become deeply toxic. When Vanellope von Schweetz became president, she inherited the task of uniting these fractured competitors. Instead of introducing a massive rulebook or strict penalties, she implemented a mandatory and somewhat silly pre-race ritual. This is the Sugar Rush Speedway Tummy Pledge. Every racer is required to recite it at the starting line. To understand why this worked, we have to look past the nursery rhyme phrasing and examine the specific emotional mechanics Vanellope wrote into these lines. Vanellope drafted this oath in the Candy Castle after a chaotic Grand Prix. She knew simply telling racers to be nice wouldn't be enough. At first, she considered traditional rules, like banning intentional glitches or mandating that players share their turbo boosts. She realized those would only force the racers to follow orders. Rules don't necessarily make people care about each other. The real problem was the emotional distance between the racers. They needed a way to reconnect as a group, rather than just being policed on the track. Leadership, in this context, meant finding a way to heal that sense of isolation. That healing starts with a physical requirement. Every racer must place a hand on their stomach to begin the pledge. This specific gesture wasn't an arbitrary choice. During her years as an outcast, Vanellope's loneliness often manifested as literal, stomach-twisting anxiety. By making the tummy rub a group action, she turns a grounding, comforting sensation into a shared experience. It's also a subtle reminder of their commonality. Regardless of their equipment or ranking, every racer's engine runs on the same candy fuel. A high-stress starting line is briefly transformed into a moment where everyone is on equal emotional footing. The text starts formally. "We Sugar Rush racers do solemnly swear." The promise to always race with heart suggests genuine effort matters more than the podium. And "keep our tummies sweet" is a mandate to keep attitudes from turning sour. These lines place a specific set of values directly into the racer's daily routine, emphasizing character over competition. Competitive racing is messy. Even with a pledge, accidents and emotional flare-ups are bound to happen during a run. The final paragraph of the pledge addresses this by acknowledging that things will inevitably go wrong on the track. By swearing to be friends for what's wrong and what's right, the racers are essentially agreeing to an expectation of forgiveness. Making this part of the ritual helps prevent on-track accidents from turning into long-term grudges. A resilient community maintains a shared framework for moving past conflict and keeping friendships intact. You can see the impact of this when the grid lines up. Personalities that used to clash are now joined in a single, vulnerable moment. Even focused, serious racers like Snowana Rainbow participate, making the pledge a universal experience across the entire roster. Vanellope's approach relied on a shared sense of identity rather than just the threat of penalties. By choosing a vulnerable ritual over rigid authority, she ensured that the tracks stay fast while the racers stay connected.